But really and truly, the things that fall apart with normal OEMs isn't the body. That can always be fixed. But the thing that Tesla's got that nobody else has got, look at those electric motors. They outperform everybody. Look at the battery pack. It outperforms everybody. Look at the electronics. It outperforms everybody. They've got less wires inside their vehicle because they've got the forethought to know where they can make the shortest cable. Look at the HVAC system, the heating and ventilating system. It's a work of art. It doesn't come from an automotive mindset. It comes from a space mindset. I mean, when you start looking at all the things, they're inventing their own chips. They have their own material science, like the electric motor. The electric motor has got magic inside of it on the casing, the aluminum casing, and then you've got the magic associated with the mega castings, and they just don't stop. They got 11 more machines on order. Wow, jeez. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So the rest of the guys might want to try it, but where are they going to get? There's only 2 companies that make it, and they're both owned by the same company. They're going to have a hard time finding anybody to build what they want to build if they want to try and go into the die casting business. But I don't think it's going to happen. The legacy costs that they've got won't allow it.
Do you think that Tesla's going to end up getting overtaken by another electric vehicle company?
No. There's no chance. They're ahead on manufacturing techniques. They're ahead on electronics. They're ahead on battery technology. They create their own stuff. Who's going to catch up?
Does Apple have a chance?
I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. So there we are. Next.
Hey, I'm Stephen and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in this video, I'm reacting to a recent interview Meet Kevin conducted with the engineering expert of experts, Sandy Munro, sharing his thoughts on Tesla's engineering magic, his words not mine, the so-called competition, Sandy's thoughts on battery swap technology, legacy automotive manufacturers, and a very interesting reaction to a question from Kevin about the Apple car. So let's get into the video. But first, hey guys, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. Unless you don't like free stocks, that is. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it. And as always guys, there's a link in the description to the full interview, which I highly recommend you check out. It runs for over an hour. With that said, let's get into it.
Do you think that Tesla's going to end up getting overtaken by another electric vehicle company?
No, there's no chance. I mean, this is like starting a race a mile ahead of everybody else, and you're going to go a mile in 2 feet. There's nobody that can catch up. Not right now, anyway. Tesla would have to do some giant boner thing, something horrific that would allow the rest of them to catch up. But even if they caught up, Tesla's going to move ahead. They're not going to sit still. So that means that they're going to have to move ahead. And when they move ahead, they're going to leave everybody else behind again. So if we talk about electronics, I've been quoted lots of times. I think that on electronics, they're probably about 5 years ahead of everybody else. If we look at the chips that they're making themselves for the ADAS system and whatnot, those ones are 10 years ahead. I mean, when people say, well, what's inside this thing? Sorry, we can do a lot of things, but we can decap it and we can look at all of the stuff going on inside, but we can't decipher it.
So Sandy Munro there believes Tesla's technology is 5 to 10 years ahead of everyone else. And even Munro and Associates, whose bread and butter is literally pulling apart technology and explaining how it works, are completely stumped when trying to understand the magic inside Tesla's electronics. That really speaks volumes.
And then you start looking at just the general build of the product. Okay, so people who aren't in cars or aren't in automotive engineering and whatnot, they look at the big casting, the mega casting, and they say, oh, wow, what's that going to do for you? That gets rid of 170 parts. That's 170 parts that I don't have to touch. That's 170 parts that I don't have to worry about them going wrong. Actually, 169, because I still have one part. When you have only one part and that part comes out dead nuts accurate, guess what? You have an advantage over everybody else, especially when you find out that the body shop just got reduced to about, well, in the platform anyway, you just got rid of a third of the area that you'd normally need. That's a big we're talking like 1 million square feet down by a significant, not 1 million for the whole plant, but say 300,000 for that area. I just got rid of 100,000 square feet and a whole bunch of people and a ton of robots and a ton of grief. So they're ahead on manufacturing techniques. They're ahead on electronics. They're ahead on battery technology. They create their own stuff. Who's going to catch up? I mean, really? It can't happen.
I mean, where do we even start? This mega casting has deleted 169 parts, freed up a third of the floor space in the body shop, which means lower overhead. Tesla can do more from less factory footprint, which really matters. I've talked about this on the channel in the past. A lot of people don't seem to realize this. Over time, Tesla is going to continue to increase the total capacity at all of their facilities, including Fremont. They're going to be more efficient, they're going to do more with less factory footprint, which means their output can continue to increase over time. Every time Tesla can delete a number of parts, some robots, some people, etc., they can do more out of the same factory footprint. People are totally overlooking this. Hundreds of parts deleted, hundreds of robots deleted, hundreds of people no longer necessary for the process as well. Tesla is doing things that no other automotive manufacturer is, and their pace of innovation is so incredibly fast. It's accelerating. They're getting faster and faster and better at deleting parts and processes. Their lead is accelerating. They're pulling further and further ahead. Legacy automotive manufacturers at this point must be shitting themselves if they're smart enough to realize what Tesla's actually doing, which honestly, I'm not so sure they do realize.
Like I said, if they do a big misstep, and it would have to be a giant misstep, then maybe they could be not overtaken, but certainly people would be able to dive in with other products. But no,
Got it.
there's nothing that I can see right now.
I mean, can't other companies have large casting machines as well? I mean, why is this so
Sure.
proprietary?
No, it's not proprietary. The casting machines are there, and there's tons of die makers. In fact, I'm going to be talking to a whole bunch of them on Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to a die casting conference to talk specifically about the material, the casting technique, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's available, but where do I buy that material? The material was invented by Tesla. Tesla's material doesn't require a heat treat, which is expensive. And the heat treat usually warps the casting. They invented something new. Their 3680 or 3680 material, or 386 material is totally unique. Nobody's got it. They invented it. They invented their own material for casting. All the other yo-hos out there said, oh, it's 350. No, it's not. 386 is so unique, so different that we've never seen it before, ever. And I work on airplanes, I work on missiles, I work on satellites, I work on all kinds of aluminum things, and I've never seen anybody use it before. The thing fills the mold. These are giant parts. The single piece is probably going to be about an 800-pound shot when it's done. That's a big piece, and it's filling up in a few milliseconds. Okay, that's fast. That's wicked fast. How does it do that? Well, they've developed mold flow analysis. They've developed all kinds of stuff to take the material that they invented and turn it into something that's actually usable. And what comes out is a perfect part. And we don't get very many perfect parts when you stamp a whole bunch of things and then try and basically weld them together. It doesn't work out real well, ever.
I mean, where do we even start? Sandy Munro has worked on everything, and he has never seen a material like this before. Is blown away by the fact that Tesla has invented, through cutting-edge material science, a new material that allows them to do things that nobody else on planet Earth can do, such as injecting around 800 pounds of molten material into a gigantic gigacasting in a matter of milliseconds, Think about that for a while. 800 pounds in a few milliseconds. I mean, 800 pounds probably weighs more than both your girlfriend and your mum combined, unless it's the same person, in which case that's a bit weird. Anyway, moving along.
Really and truly, the things that fall apart with normal OEMs isn't the body. That can always be fixed. But the thing that Tesla's got that nobody else has got, look at those electric motors. They outperform everybody. Look at the battery pack. It outperforms everybody. Look at the electronics. It outperforms everybody. They've got less wires inside their vehicle because they've got the forethought to know where they can make the shortest cable. Look at the HVAC system, the heating and ventilating system. It's a work of art. It doesn't come from an automotive mindset. It comes from a space mindset.
So the best motors, the best batteries, the best engineering, the best electronics, the best HVAC system, a work of art. This isn't automotive, this is space technology. I mean, you guys understand the implications here. It's not like Sandy saying that Tesla has the best electronics, but Ford has the best motors, and Volkswagen has the best engineering, and Toyota has the best HVAC system. All of this stuff is concentrated in a single company. They are dominating on everything that matters. This is why I'm so excited about this company. This is why I've dedicated this entire YouTube channel to trying to explain why I'm so excited. I've never seen anything like this. Please, somebody, give me another example of where this applies outside of Elon Musk's own companies.
I mean, when you start looking at all the things, they're inventing their own chips. They have their own material science, like the electric motor. The electric motor has got magic inside of it on the casing, the aluminum casing, and then you've got the magic associated with the mega castings, and they just don't stop. They got 11 more machines on order. Wow,
Jeez.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, so the rest of the guys might want to try it, but where are they going to get? There's only 2 companies that make it, and they're both owned by the same company. They're going to have a hard time finding anybody to build what they want to build if they want to try and go into the die casting business. But I don't think it's going to happen. The legacy costs that they've got won't allow it. When I got a ride in that full self-driving beta version, oh my God, I was so blown away. It wasn't even. I've been in lots of different fancy military vehicles, and I've never seen anything like that. Nothing. I believe that thing is. Tesla always understates, I guess is the right word. And I think what I was looking at was level 5, although they said, well, it might be level 4. Level 4. When it can aggressively park and into left-hand turn lanes and stuff like that. Yeah, right. I think that's a level. And by the way, the guy also drove it around inside of a parking lot, which has there's no real attribute there, and he managed to make it to basically not smash into anything. Wow. Yeah, I think Tesla's way far ahead of everybody else when it comes to self-driving.
Those who've been following the channel for a while will know I'm in complete agreement with Sandy here. As I've said many times, Tesla's full self-driving lead is unassailable. Anyone who understands deep learning enough to know how fundamentally important lots of high quality data is to solving these types of problems will know that Tesla cannot be run down. Nobody has a chance of catching Tesla because Tesla has a fleet of well over 1 million vehicles autonomously collecting data to train and improve their full self-driving software. You can't catch up to Tesla unless you instantaneously deploy a fleet of 1.5 million plus vehicles and then continue to deploy vehicles at the same rate that Tesla is selling new vehicles to new customers. Every vehicle on roads from Tesla has a sensor suite collecting data, training the AI. Every time there's an intervention, gets sent back to home base. They can train, what's this situation, what just happened, how do we figure this out, bring down more examples, let's train this, let's solve this problem. No one's catching Tesla.
I think that the guys that start off with a robotaxi business, ground-based, they'll do remarkably well for a while. And then people are going to say, well, you know what, I don't want to take a chance on traffic.
Yeah.
Whoop, down. That's kind of like what's going to happen, and I'll be probably one of those kind of guys. Now, I do like the idea of of driving. I like to drive. But at the end of the day, if I'm in a hurry, and that seems to be what I am all the time, then I want to get from point A to point B in a damn hurry. I want to go like right now, and that's where VTOLs really can shine. They leave everybody else in the dust. And like I said, that's where the two things where hydrogen is going to work is in a VTOL and in big trucks.
As someone who values his time relatively highly, I mean, I spend exorbitant amounts of money now to save time, food delivery, these kind of things. Anything that can free up my time or mental energy, I'm happy to spend stupid money on that. 10 years ago, when I was saving my ass off, investing like crazy, sleeping on friends' floors, living below the poverty line, I wouldn't dream of spending a cent on eating out takeaway food, having food delivered, not even in my wildest dreams. But now that I'm on the other end of that grind, I've put in the hard work and I've built a strong financial foundation, I will do anything to save time unless it will bankrupt me. So when it comes to the idea of vertical takeoff and landing jets, I'm super excited about this idea. As Sandy mentioned, he thinks initially autonomous robo-taxis on the ground, he said ground-based robo-taxis will be great for a while, but then he believes that VTOLs will really take a chunk out of that market. I think he's onto something here. They may not be affordable to everyone immediately, but just imagine the opportunity to save yourself 2 hours, 3 hours, 45 minutes on a commute, to halve the amount of time it will take you, to cut that in a fraction, 1/10 of the time, 1/5 of the time. These kind of time savings are going to be very appealing to people. Just imagine instead of getting stuck in traffic and driving across highways, you can literally go up, across, land at your destination. And I'm very curious if you guys think Tesla will actually build a VTOL aircraft. So let me know in the comments below. You think Tesla will build VTOL? Do you think maybe SpaceX will? Or do you think Elon Musk is hoping somebody else will pick up the slack and do it for him? As we know, Elon has discussed this idea, but he's also mentioned if he takes on a VTOL aircraft at this point in time, his brain is guaranteed to explode, and nobody wants that, except maybe the legacy automotive manufacturers.
I think that every electric vehicle company that's starting out right now has got a better chance than the existing OEMs. And
So-
simply because they don't have legacy problems. They've got a huge amount of. Do you know how much money it's going to cost them to shut down all those engine plants, all those transmission plants, all of the people that are going to be suddenly on the street because we don't want that or don't need it anymore? I mean, and then dealerships. How are they going to compete with Tesla, who has no dealerships? Or some of the other guys that are going to do everything online? How are you going to get rid of those dealers? It's going to be expensive. The changeover is, they should have started doing it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
In fact, the day that I did the 2018, whatever date it was, when I ripped the body off of the Tesla Model 3, and I said, I cannot believe what I'm looking at. I can't believe that this is where it is. That's the day that they should have had a board meeting and said, hey, you know what? We better do something different. That's when they should have done it, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They sat on it and they thought, oh no, the good old days are just right around the corner. Good old days.
So I think what Sandy's trying to say here is rip legacy auto. Good analogy here to describe the transition. It's like turning around a huge ship in the ocean. It's not agile, it's gigantic. Turning this thing around, changing direction, huge amount of energy, huge amount of time. In the case of legacy automotive manufacturers, turning their huge ships around is going to be a slow, painful, brutal, and potentially life-threatening endeavor. The costs associated with getting rid of equipment, upgrading equipment, firing people, getting rid of your dealerships and paying them compensation when you've effectively told them to go fuck themselves and kick them out on the street. There's so many costs associated with these huge legacy automotive manufacturers that, as Sandy mentioned, it's far easier for these new upstart companies, the likes of NIO, XPeng, etc., to attempt to compete with Tesla. And by the way, nobody's going to have an easy time trying to compete with Tesla. Let's just get that clear. But legacy automotive manufacturers are further encumbered by so much of the legacy BS that they have to either drag along with them or jettison in a painful and costly process.
Does Apple have a chance?
I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. So there we are. Next. Wow. I forgot. Yeah.
Okay.
My coffee is empty.
Oh, fascinating.
Sorry about that.
Oh, Kevin, that is the scoop right there, brother. Obviously, well, presumably, it appears that Sandy Munro may know something relating to a potential Apple electric vehicle. But clearly there might be some non-disclosure agreements involved. So let's move on.
What do you think about battery swapping?
I think it's stupid. Next.
Makes two of us, Sandy. Those of you who watch my channel regularly will have probably seen me discuss this when talking about Neo. The idea of battery swap may sound great when you don't actually think too deeply about it. Oh yeah, cool, you pull in, you get your battery swapped out, that's awesome, might be faster than recharging, great. Let's think about this. What is the limiting factor on global electric vehicle production at this point in time? Battery supply. Does it make a whole lot of sense to have a battery swap station with a dozen, 2 dozen batteries sitting there doing absolutely fuck all, not being used in vehicles, waiting for somebody to pull in to swap out a battery? Does that make a whole lot of sense when the entire world is cell constrained? Really, think about this. It's completely fucking crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe in the future when there's an abundance of battery cells, total excess of supply, maybe it makes sense. Maybe there'll be some utility, especially in large haul trucking, something like that. But at this point in time, for consumer vehicles to be using battery swap technology when there's fast charging, and by the way, a lot of people don't seem to understand this. The rate of charging isn't consistent when you're charging a vehicle. Those first few miles actually charge up astonishingly fast. Typically speaking, if you're on a road trip, you might want to stop for the bathroom every couple of hours, grab a bite to eat, grab a coffee. By the time you're done doing that, you've charged up enough to go a few hundred more miles and then repeat the same process. Unless you have a bladder made of steel, you're probably going to be stopping regularly anyway. So the whole point of the fast speed at which you can swap out a battery is fairly negated anyway. Now, yes, there'll be some exceptions to the rule. Don't get your panties in a twist. But for a company to make the decision to adopt battery swap technology, to me, it's a brain dead decision. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you do this? Why would you offer this to your customers when you could just put those batteries in vehicles, sell more vehicles instead? It's crazy. Think about all these batteries just sitting idle, doing absolutely nothing, waiting for a driver to pull in to swap out the battery. It's insane. It's almost as crazy as making single-use rockets. It's just such poor use of resources. And again, at some point in the future, it may make sense when there's an overabundance of battery cells on Earth. But right now, we're cell constrained. It's just crazy.
I think that the future is quite bright. It's going to be a little dimmer for some of the old hands, the OEMs, but they should have got going earlier. That's the fault of leadership. That's where your board members should have said, you out. That's why you have a board, to pick good leaders, people who can predict the future. And if they can't predict the future, they should be gone and new people come in their place. People who can predict the future.
Great comments on leadership there from Sandy. Meanwhile, the boards and C-suites of legacy automotive manufacturers, with the ironic exception of Volkswagen's Herbert Diess, shout out to the Dieselgate scandal, push them in the right direction, are filled with, shall we say, mentally challenged, vision impaired dinosaurs. I think that's probably the most politically correct way I could say that. And yeah, I know that's not very PC, but you should have seen what I could have said. Anyway, with that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Don't forget, there's a link in the description of the full interview. Runs for over an hour. Some excellent questions on there. It's always fun to hear Sandy Munro fawning over Tesla's brilliant engineering. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.